Like and subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon to get new video updates.
The tale of Paul Volcker imagines an economy that does not exist, and never was. The Chinese government prohibits foreign ownership of a wide range of Chinese companies, including those operating websites. Even so, despite endless rules designed to discourage foreign capital from migrating to China, investments inevitably find good ideas. Enabling China's modern prosperity is funded to a large extent by U.S. investors. This truth came to mind as I read a passage by investor Jim Rickards. Rickards wrote of Paul Volcker's time as Federal Reserve Chairman, that Volcker put on a tourniquet and at heart he raised the federal funds rate to 20% in June 1981, and the shock therapy worked. Please think about what Rickards envisions for Volcker versus the happy reality that the only closed economy is the world economy. At this point, it's worth digressing briefly. Digressing into extraordinary stupidity. Shaping a Volcker myth embraced by conservatives, libertarians, and myriad other religions on the left and right. The idea that Volcker's interest rate machinations saved the U.S. economy first posits that government intervention in the world's most important price would stimulate the economy. Logic dictates the opposite. See intervention above to understand the extraordinary stupidity that characterizes the Volcker myth. That readers need only think about why we borrow money in the first place. To get things, access to goods, services and labor. In other words, credit is a consequence of production, which hopefully makes people aware of the reality that increasing credit would never be as much a sign of inflation as abundant production is. Of course, lending money is not giving that money squandered to the extent that it delays consumption, with a view to attaining greater consuming ability in the future via the interest rate. Basically, an interest rate on money represents the cost of renting access to goods and services, and when people rent their money, that's a sign of no inflation. Really, why lend money that comes back in dollars that are used to buy fewer and fewer goods and services? Which brings us to interest rates. Assuming the Fed could control them, and assuming, even more absurdly, that central interest rate control is a good thing, can we pause and consider the implications of higher borrowing costs? Assuming an increase by the Fed, the logical result would be more credit supply, not less. Yes, strange and absurd. Even if you believe that the Fed is able to centrally plan prices, credit, and their costs, it is odd to think that meddling in credit prices would accomplish the Fed's purported anti-inflation mission. From there is the world economy. If we accept Rickards' strange definition of inflation and how to fight it, we cannot ignore that the only closed economy is the world economy. For that we simply return to China. While his political leadership has long pursued policies aimed at slowing the flow of investment to the mainland, investors had other plans. And as the introduction to this article makes clear, resources find the innovative and productive without regard to the wishes of governments. Please keep this in mind when considering the time of the late Paul Volcker at the Fed's helm. If the authoritarians in China cannot control the cost or level of credit flowing there, does anyone seriously believe that Volcker's meddling with interest rates in the early 1980s acted somewhat like a tourniquet? Hopefully the question will answer itself.